This question is from my good friend Nick Best, and he asked, what was the most challenging thing with rehabbing your hamstring tear? And then the second part is, once it's 100% and you win another World's Strongest Man, will you go after a 505 kilogram deadlift before you retire? So thanks for the question, buddy. And I would say the hardest thing with rehabbing the hamstring tear was actually the fact that we were filming the Strongest Man in History for the History Channel. So I had the Arnold Classic competition where I tore it on my last deadlift attempt. Literally the next weekend, we had an episode of that show to film. So I think I was only home for 2 or 3 days. And then I had to head out on an airplane to film that show. And I basically didn't give myself any downtime. I was still trying to do a couple things with the show, although with that show I sat out of most of the actual strength challenges, literally because I couldn't do them. But that was the biggest challenge, I think, the fact that we had that show going on and I was trying to push the training in between filming the show for World's Strongest Man last year. It just wasn't good. It wasn't a good scenario for me. So that was probably the most challenging thing. And I wish that with the recovery, I could have attacked that in a different way. And as far as going after the 505 kilo deadlift, right now, I can't say that I have any plans to try to do that. You know, it's something where I think the deadlift, or strongman deadlift, I should say, in a lot of ways, with what has transpired in the last couple weeks or couple months even, it kind of has a little bit of a cloud over it right now for me. And, you know, I've never been a guy that's tried to chase after records. I have always, through my whole career, really cared about titles. Titles are much more important to me. They always have been and always will be, really. So I'm not going to say no, you know, because obviously I like lifting heavy weights and I like training. And if it were to be something that I got excited about and really wanted to pursue, then you know, maybe I would do that. But right now, I would say that I don't have any plans of going after that. But thanks for the question, man. How often do you eat out? Well, before this whole world situation was going on, my wife and I really tried to make it a priority to have kind of a date night. We tried to do it once a week, but in reality, that probably didn't happen. It was probably once every couple weeks that we would try to go out by ourselves, go out to eat. And typically, for me, I would try to plan that the night before a big training session. So I'd work with my nutritionist, so I would get a free meal and I would kind of get to go crazy, which was even better. So it's kind of a date night combined with a cheat meal. And I really enjoyed that. And I got to say, I am very much looking forward to being able to do that again once all of this calms down. Everyone is going to be asking about Eddie and Thor, but let's get to you. Personally, I'm rooting for you to win World's Strongest Man this year. Thank you for that. How are you going to approach this year differently, and what are you going to do to secure that win? Well, that's a great question. I mean, this year has been a little bit of a roller coaster ride when it comes to training, and obviously the entire world. We don't know what's going on. We still don't exactly know what's going on, and I'm very hopeful that you know, here in a couple months, the contest can start to happen again, and that World's Strongest Man being planned right now for mid-November, that can still go forward. So that's my plan. For me, what I did was, you know, there's a little bit of, you know, a mental struggle when I wasn't knowing exactly what was going to happen with World's Strongest Man. So I decided, you know, to kind of shift gears with the training, go after the bench press, pick a new goal, something that could challenge me and also keep me really motivated. And it has worked 100%. I'm loving my training right now. I'm loving the challenge that I have in front of me with the bench. So basically the goal is to go after that up until about 12 to 14 weeks out from when World's Strongest Man will happen, and then essentially shift gears. So try to hit a big bench at that point to see what I've been able to do with all of this hard training. And then from there, shift gears and really dial it in for strongman. Now I'm still, throwing some strongman training into my routine. I'm still working on my jumping explosiveness and my movement and all of that stuff. So that has not gone away. It's just that, I had to reprioritize my training a little bit. So essentially that's the plan. And I'm really trying my best to make this situation a good thing for me. So I'm trying to address some weaknesses and improve. That's really what I'm trying to do. So the way that I'm looking at it is I've got an opportunity of using some extra time to get ready for World's Strongest Man, to come in better than I have been. I mean, the last couple years, it's been very frustrating looking back. I mean, 2018, I tore my plantar fascia on the bottom of my foot, detached that, 4 weeks out from World's Strongest Man, so I had to fight through that. And then last year, obviously was not ideal with filming all the time for the TV show and just not being able to prep the way that I needed to. So I really haven't been able to walk into World's Strongest Man at 100% for a few years now. And so that, in my mind, is what I'm trying to do with the extra time, is to get myself ready so that when I go to that contest, I know that I'm ready to compete and to bring the best package of myself that I possibly can. What are your thoughts about this whole Eddie and Thor drama? Do you think that them fighting is ruining or at least making the strongman image look bad? Well, this is the question that everybody has been asking me to kind of weigh in on. And my thoughts on the drama back and forth was it was getting to be a little bit too much before the deadlift attempt, and Hafthor announcing the fight right after his deadlift attempt as part of the live stream. I think that kind of just put the cherry on top, and it essentially showed the fans and everybody watching that they were just trying to build up to this fight that they were going to have, because obviously it was planned before. If Hafthor had the contract before he was going to do the deadlift, it had to be pre-planned, and they probably planned to do the announcement after the deadlift so that more people were watching. And it's not the way that I would have done it. That's what I would say. It kind of left a lot of people with a bad taste in their mouth, I think. And it's their choice. That's what I would say. They're two grown men, and they can make their choices and do what they want to do. So if they want to have a boxing match, I mean, they've had kind of a feud going on for a few years. So in a lot of ways, it does make sense. And I think they were both presented with an opportunity, and it sounds like they're going to get paid, something, in seven figures, so $1 million contract to go do a fight, which, is way, way more money than they would ever get paid for winning a strongman contest. So can you fault them for that? No, I don't think so. Every man has to make his own decisions. And so what I would say is, for me personally, I would have handled it differently than they did, but it's their choice to go do that. So, as far as the second part of your question here, do you think them fighting is ruining or at least making the strongman image look bad? I don't think so. The biggest factor is that both Hafthor and Eddie Hall both have a World's Strongest Man title to their name. So when you have that title, I think there's a certain sense of responsibility that should come along with that. And so any choice that either one of those guys makes is gonna come back to the strongman sport, just simply because they have a World's Strongest Man title to their name. And so I don't think that them choosing to go do this boxing match is going to ruin the sport of strongman. The sport of strongman has gone on for a lot of years, and there's a lot of great guys competing. The sport's growing in popularity at every single level. So I don't think it's going to ruin the sport at all. I think, it may have kind of put a dark cloud over strongman in this time, unfortunately, but I think that soon that will kind of go away, and they can focus on their boxing match. Unfortunately for Hafthor, I would say that what kind of got overshadowed with all of this is his deadlift. because he chose to make that announcement so soon. So basically nobody talked about his deadlift or what he did with lifting that weight. And, that's kind of unfortunate for him, because I think that a lot of people quickly forgot about that because they started to focus on talking about what's going to happen with this boxing match. So, I hope for those guys, they can get out of it what they want. Again, it's not a choice that I would have made, but that's my take on it. I think that they had a plan to build up the drama to make this boxing match happen. And, for the sport of strongman, I think, a lot of the true fans would like to see the rivalry take place in a strongman contest versus the boxing ring. But hey, those guys have to make their choice, and hopefully, like I said, hopefully they can get out of it what they want to. Does the fact that Thor won't be at World's Strongest Man this year change your mindset for the contest now that you're arguably the favorite to win? So to answer this question, I saw a little snippet of video from something that Hafthor was doing where somebody asked him about World's Strongest Man and if he was going to compete, and he said no. And then he went on to add that he hadn't received an invite, and why should he wait if he's not receiving an invite? Just to set the facts straight here on that, none of the athletes have received an invite for World's Strongest Man this year. Nobody has. World's Strongest Man has communicated, as far as I know, to every athlete that potentially could compete. Number one, they announced the date earlier than they ever had to both the athletes and the fans, which I thought was a huge step in the right direction. But on top of that, I know as a World's Strongest Man champion that it's been World's Strongest Man policy to invite the former champions back to the competition. If you're in shape and you're ready to go and you want to come, that's just kind of a given that a World's Strongest Man champion, a former World's Strongest Man champion, would be invited back to compete at the contest. So I don't know where Hafthor is coming up with that, but I wasn't very happy to hear that, because he should know very well that he's invited to compete at World's Strongest Man. So what I would say with that is, if he is choosing to retire or just to take a step away from the sport to go do his boxing match, then just say that. You don't need to try to say that, well, I was invited to World's Strongest Man, I'm not going to go. And, it's just crazy talk. I mean, he absolutely has an invite, and if he wants to compete, I guarantee that he can compete. So number one, I want to clear that up because I think there was some confusion out there about that. And as far as me, it doesn't change my mindset at all. My mindset is that I haven't been able to walk into World's Strongest Man at my best for a couple years now. So 2018 with the foot deal, and last year with not being able to prioritize my time coming into the contest, I just wasn't at my best, and I can admit that. I mean, I had a lot on my plate, so. My focus with World's Strongest Man, whether Hafthor is there or not, there's a lot of great athletes that are coming. And, arguably, Hafthor might, even if he was coming, he might not even be the favorite to win this year. It's arguable. I mean, it depends on the events and who's coming and the layout and all of that stuff. I mean, all of those are factors to the contest. But with my mindset, it doesn't change anything. I would love him to be there. Because I would love him to be at his best, and I would love to beat him at his best. That's just the way that my mind works. But at the end of the day, I can only prepare for the guys that are going to be there and compete against the guys that are going to be there. So it doesn't change my mindset literally at all going in. And I appreciate you saying, now that I'm arguably the favorite to win, I'm going to work as hard as I possibly can to put myself in a position where I'm ready to win World's Strongest Man this year. What other accessories / gear will Evolution Athletics release in the future? And when is the new shipment of large support belts coming in? Can't wait to get a hold of one. Well, number one, I want to say that we appreciate your support for sure. And we're trying our best to get everything restocked, especially the belts What I would say with regard to the belt is to go to the website. There's a place that you can sign up for an email notification. When we do get those back in stock, you'll get an email immediately, and we're trying our best to get those restocked. So hopefully it won't be too long, but because of the world situation that's happening, it's kind of put a bind on every industry. So it's kind of out of our control. We're trying our best. But as far as what we're going to be offering in the future, the next big thing will be the sleeves. So the sleeves are coming next. We've got plans for other things as well. I'm not going to mention those just quite yet because I'm not sure what order they're going to be able to come out in. But sleeves will be next. Obviously, the belts are there, and you know, the feedback has just been incredible. I mean, with the belt, I put so much time and effort into trying to get that right, and it makes me feel great that people are getting them and loving them, and you know, they're having the impact that I was hoping that they would have. And so my goal is to keep growing from there. But you know, we kind of had to start small, and unfortunately with the belts, we sold out of those very quickly. So our goal is to get those restocked and then just keep coming, hopefully with new items that are great as well.